Kia ora, my name is Tracey Whare. My iwi a te whanau apanui in Ngāti Raukawa. And I'm here at the moment in New York attending the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues here at the United Nations headquarters. And the reason I choose to come to these meetings is I've had involvement here at the UN since 1998. Working alongside other Māori and other Indigenous peoples to further the Indigenous peoples movement, to further the international Indigenous human rights, to ensure that things like the UN takes into account and acknowledges the rights that we have, and to also see what New Zealand government is saying about what's happening at home here in the International Forum. The Aotearoa Indigenous Rights Trust, or Air Trust, was formed in 2000. It's a charitable trust, and the objective of the trust is to disseminate and share information with Māori about what's happening internationally in terms of Indigenous people's rights. And at the moment we have two trustees. We have myself and Dale Takitimu, and it's a small organisation. It's all volunteer based, and we really just try to have a presence in the international arena to keep abreast of what the New Zealand government's doing, and also to participate in the international Indigenous people's rights movement. What we've mainly done is attended different UN meetings. So, for example, we were involved in the working group on the draft declaration on the rights of Indigenous peoples. More recently, we've been involved in the expert mechanism on the rights of Indigenous peoples. And those meetings have a particular mandate to deal with Indigenous people's rights. And so we can go, we can see what the agenda is talking about, we can prepare information and share what's happening at home, and tie that into the international human rights regime. A few years ago we also created a DVD just giving a really brief introduction of what the UN does in terms of Indigenous people's rights. We made that available to Māori for free, to just share that information about what happens here and what are the mechanisms or the meetings that people can attend, and how the UN structures itself to address Indigenous people's rights. Okay, so the General Assembly made a decision, or a resolution. They decided to hold a World Conference on Indigenous Peoples in 2014. And the specific dates and the location of that meeting have yet to be decided. But Indigenous peoples, when we meet in these kinds of meetings, decided that we needed to take an initiative to ensure that Indigenous peoples have influence and are effective right from the beginning right through to when the World Conference is held. And so what has happened is that a small working group called the Indigenous Global Coordinating Group, or the GCG, has been established, and that group has Indigenous peoples from the 7 different regions. So we have the Arctic, Asia, Africa, Latin America, Russia, North America, and of course the Pacific, as well as 2 caucuses, the Indigenous youth and Indigenous women. And this group has defined its terms of reference, but it really is trying to ensure that the UN deals with and includes Indigenous peoples as much as possible, really equally with states, in the whole process leading up to and including the World Conference. And my particular role in that is that I've been appointed as the Secretariat of the GCG. So I get to attend the meetings, take the notes, write the reports, and really ensure that we as Indigenous peoples work together and try to accomplish the challenges that we've set ourselves.